welcome back to my channel. This is Prepping by Faith, and today I'm going to be sharing an article with you guys from Money Control. So, this article is centered around the World Economic Forum 2023 and a look at these key issues that they're going to be talking about in Davos. So, this is something that they do annually. They're going to be having their annual meeting. So, this meeting in Davos, Switzerland is supposed to take place between the 16th and the 20th. So what they are going to be focusing on, it says, is cooperation in a fragmented world. And what's interesting about that to me is a world that they helped fragment, right? So they're talking about cooperation through something that they have essentially helped design the disaster for. So we're going to go ahead and look at this. It's a 5-day meeting, like I said. The World Economic Forum is going to serve as a forum for leaders to engage in these peer-to-peer discussions aimed at improving the world's state of affairs. So it's going to attempt to transform defensive policies and business strategies into proactive, vision-driven policies and strategies. So this meeting, one of the things that they talked about in here, which I thought was kind of interesting, is, like I said, they're titling it Cooperation in a Fragmented World, but then it's also corresponds to the India's G20 theme, which was one earth, one family, one future. So we keep talking about all of this one. So we all know the one direction that they are going, right, is a one world government, one world religion, one world economy, one world agenda that we are seeing being laid out before us. So as we go along in this article, I'm only going to hit the highlights, guys. This is just something that I do, but they do talk a lot of in here about the people that are going to be represented. They say around 2,500 people are going to be there, including heads of state and governments, CEOs of companies, civil society leaders, youth leaders from Africa and Asia, Europe, the Middle East, Latin America, and of course, North America, as well as a bunch of these global media outlets that are going to be attending. They mention 52 heads of state and government, 56 finance ministers, 19 central bank governors. So a lot of these people in here, UN, International Monetary Fund, World Trade Organization. Of course, we have representatives in there from the European Union, NATO, Finland, Greece, Spain, the Philippines, South Africa, and South Korea. They also have different ones in here that they mentioned that I thought, per usual, the same key players that we hear time and time again. The United States is going to be sending Labor Secretary Marty Walsh, Trade Representative Catherine Tai, and FBI Director Christopher Wray. And then, of course, we also have the UN Secretary General Antonio Gutierrez. They have, who else is in here? A lot of other key players from NATO, Jens Stoltenberg, right? And of course, we always have to have the WHO Director General Tedros there. So he's going to be there. JP Morgan, Chief Executive, Goldman Sachs is represented, Citigroup, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, the Dutch Bank, of course, all these different ones, guys. And so the theme, they say, is going to include speeches by key heads of state and government, as well as geoeconomic and geopolitical discussions, such as country strategy dialogues. And it just sounds like a lot of hot air, right? As you listen to this, I mean, at least that's what I get out of this. It's always a lot of talk, and yet, all of the action that we see is just control measures on we the people, right? And this is all that ends up coming out of this. So they're the topic issues that they're going to be discussing. Of course, the energy crisis is at the top. They say energy transition and climate change are inextricably linked. And furthermore, they're talking about reducing these carbon emissions and mitigating effects of climate change. So we're going to see more and more of this come out. In recent days, we already know about them attempting to ban the gas stoves. That's something that they are going after. They're going to continue to come at fossil fuels hard with this agenda. This is all the things that we're going to be seeing. As I said, in my predictions for 2023, I see a lot of this stuff accelerating this year that we already seen from last year. They're going to keep trying to come at us with these measures. And my hope is that the people of the world are going to push back. And this is not going to be as easy for them as they think that it will be, right? So they talk about high inflation, low growth, high debt economy, talking about the C-19 that we experienced and how that has, pushed more people into poverty. Well, a lot of the reason that we got pushed into poverty because of that was the astronomical spending, the money printing that went on. All of these things are going to, they thought they were alleviating the situation. All they did was kick the can down the road and make it turn into this massive, snowball that has been rolling down the hill full steam ahead, ready to crush us all. Right. So this is what we witnessed because of that. And it says, according to the report, reshaping the economic agenda along strategic lines and restoring trust in the international system. Like I said, just a bunch of jargon that I'm seeing in here. Industry headwinds are talking a lot about this fourth industrial revolution. We've heard this time and time again, right? So they're going to keep pushing for this innovation. They want all of these diverse ecosystems, and they want to include all these competitors and companies and other industries in order to sort of navigate this. But what they're really trying to do is get all of these companies and corporations, government entities all on board with their agenda so that they can effectively push out these control measures more. They need them on board. They need them behind the scenes being willing to implement this into, their, as far as what they expect out of employees, as far as what, they expect us to do as consumers. Remember what I told you guys before about this, consumership. Consumers are going to be key to them being able to do this. So if they can, sort of get everybody on board as far as consumers are with these things that they want to do, they have to get us on board with it, right? They have to get us purchasing these meat alternatives. They have to get us purchasing these bug alternatives. They have to get us, on board with banning all of the plastics. That has to be something that they do. So they're phasing this out gradually, and slowly getting us, used to and adjusted to this change that they have, right? Social vulnerabilities. They say that workers are continuing to leave or are considering leaving their jobs despite the growing global economic crisis. Well, why do you suppose that is? It's because people are tired of working so hard and then not getting anything for it, right? People are fed up. They're fed up with all of these things that we're witnessing. We can't handle all of the continued rules and regulations. There's a lot of these woke isms that are in there, and a lot of the good people that were there, that were your good workers, you've gone ahead and kicked to the curb because you didn't like the way that they didn't want to get on board with all of your different requirements, right? So including the jabs. And I think that's a lot of it, right? They're talking about people considering leaving or continuing to leave employment. Well, a lot of us were forced out when you guys started forcing your jab requirements. A lot of us were not going to opt into that kind of thing. So you force the good people out. You've done the same thing with our military, and then you wonder why we are in the situation we're in, right? So that's something that they're supposedly going to be tackling. Now, what they're going to try to come out with to fix that, that's anyone's guess. But I think one of the things that we need to pay attention to is that this meeting is going to be taking place, and they're going to stream it live on their website, so we can go ahead and follow that. I will try to track some of this as we go along. If I see anything that pops out that stands out to me, I will be sure to share that with you, so be on the lookout for that, because that is coming up here really quickly in the next few days, right? So I wanted to go ahead and get this information out there for you. I think it's important that we pay attention to what they are doing behind the scenes. So if you guys have enjoyed this video today, please give me a like, share, and subscribe. Remember to pray, prep, and put God first. God bless.